Hello, 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 and welcome from Texas. I'm Shane Moore. Sue Ellen, my co-host, she's on vacation, so you'll have to deal with me. Tonight we'll be discussing hidden, shocking truths revealed. As we all know, thousands of years ago, the ancient people, ancient Egyptians, and even before that, possessed knowledge that they passed down generation to generation. This knowledge was hidden in symbolism, stories, patterns, and language. This knowledge is available today. It's all around us. However, it can only empower those who understand it. And that's the key. That's what's been hidden. That's why it's been hidden. That's why there's so many decoys and distractions and disinformation. It's so people don't understand it. I'll explain how to understand it. I'll explain how to see it, and hopefully empower each and every one that's listening. Anyway, going to take a short break and allow listeners who want to join our live chat to do so. Want to give a big shout out to new listeners in Moscow, Russia, Cyprus, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Lebanon, Ohio. Welcome, and thank you for listening. Like I said, going to take a short break. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Thank you. And I'm back. Hello, Randy. How are you? Hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. Anyway, okay, got everything ready. So, the 1st of June is already here. This year's passing by really quick. It won't be long until it's 2020. Hopefully that's that's a good sign. At least it's balanced. So just hoping that that's the case. But anyway, talking about hidden knowledge, there's been so many times that I talked about how that that truth is hidden in metaphors and allegories and stories and seemingly double talk. Means the law of double reference. One thing can mean two things, and most people, they know the one thing but not the second thing. So that's how that's usually that's how that usually works. But the truth is that the way that they passed this down was basically hiding it in plain sight. It's just that they were the only ones that knew how to read it, how to see it, and but we're not just talking about normal outward knowledge. We're talking about knowledge about the body. I'm talking very in-depth knowledge, which you really wouldn't think would be available to people at that time. I'm talking nerves and like the nervous system, the respiratory system, the functions of our entire body and brain, and this is seen in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, although it's hidden, of course, but it's as plain as day. I mean, it's undeniable. And I'll post pictures in our group by the same name, the Texas Live Podcast, on Facebook. It's really shocking, and it's also shocking how the figurines that you see that were carved supposedly thousands of years ago, of women or Gaia, that Mother Earth or whatever, often pregnant women, naked figurines. It's a woman. Yes, she's pregnant, but it's also the human brain, believe it or not. It's the brainstem, and that's the key. Is what they were saying is I guess just as a woman is pregnant, about to give birth, so is the brain or the mind, pregnant with ideas or knowledge, and that's how I take it. But it's undeniable. I mean, you can take that, that carved, figurine from thousands of years ago, and you can place it next to an X-ray of the human brain or an MRI of the human brain, and they match up perfectly. And this is amazing, but they're both the same size. I mean, to scale. The little figurines, what I'm talking about. And I know that you've seen them because they've been all over all over TV and books and everything, showing them. Just amazing. And then you have the eye of Horus, I believe it is, which is a side cut, sidereal vision of the human brain with the eye in the very center, and that corresponds to the human brain. And it's just amazing that we were taught that, you know, people didn't really know about the human body until like maybe as early as the 1500s with, you know, Leonardo da Vinci. Maybe that's what we were taught, but this goes back way beyond Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, this goes back to very, very ancient times, and even before that. I mean, I truly believe that even before what we've been taught, that there were civilizations before Adam and Eve, or, you know, which my views on that is, I don't see that as, you know, being a literal man and woman. I see that as being possibly a group of people, a group of men, a group of women, but needless to say, had to start out somewhere. So while there had to be, in my opinion, there had to be a literal man and woman, you know, to begin. I don't think that the Bible is speaking of just one man and one woman. I believe it's talking to a group of people. So that's just my views on it. But and that too, I mean, talking about the tree of knowledge and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, I believe that has to do with the human body also. And it's pretty telling. It's pretty shocking when you look at it from that viewpoint of the knowledge of good and evil. And if you think about it, it doesn't take much to come to the conclusion of what their sin was, or what the bad thing they did was. And it you know, comes to me that they knew they were naked. And it says, you know, God said, "Why were you hiding from me?" And he said, "Well, because I'm naked." And God said, "Who told you were naked?" Well, nobody had to tell him. He just knew he was. And so that tells me that the sin was the knowledge of sex. I mean, it was sexual in nature. And then you take that and you apply that with the knowledge, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life, and, you know, just do the math, and you can see how this works. I mean, it's not a literal tree. It's not literal fruit, you know, the forbidden fruit. It's all metaphor. It's all, you know, even the serpent that, you know, it says beguiled Eve. There's much more to it. And for, you know, people that say, well, I don't believe in a talking snake or serpent, and I don't believe in you know, that biting an apple or whatever can. Well, of course not. You're absolutely right. But that's that's what I'm saying, that this has been passed down. This knowledge has been passed down, powerful knowledge, and it's been passed down. It's been hidden, and to empower the few that control the many. And I mean, let's face it, when people see the Bible, or they see spiritual text or truths that have been veiled in this language, and they read it and they take that as literal, it does not empower them. I don't care what people say. They may trick themselves into believing that they're empowered, but deep down they know they're not. I mean, it's just like people that go to church every Sunday. I mean, Sunday morning, Sunday night, even on Wednesdays. And they go and they go and they go. There's a certain part of the human mind that, because they are going, because they're compelled to go, they're going, they're not enjoying it, they're enduring it. And because they're enduring it, they have to somehow rationalize that it's somehow benefiting them. So they trick themselves into believing that it's empowering them, when they're lying to themselves. They know it's not. And that's the difference between spiritual truth and, spiritual non-truth, or, as I said when I first started, distractions and disinformation. And those who teach and preach and pass on spiritual truths as metaphors in the literal fashion, they're not empowering anyone. They're just weakening people. And that's absolutely wrong. That's wrong in my opinion. But they fear, they're afraid to teach people the truth, and I'm not sure why. I guess because they're afraid of people being empowered, or people turning away from the entire the entire curriculum, let's say, as the Bible, let's say. And that's what I'm going to start with, is the different things in the Bible. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you did. There's Mona. The reason that there's let's see, Randy, you say my friend sent me a video. I can send it to you. It talks about the Quran. It talks about humans are formed from conception to how the baby fetus looks in the beginning of pregnancy. So thousands of years ago, before we had the medical knowledge about pregnancy and how babies develop and looked in the womb, someone wrote about it. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. How many of us were taught that Leonardo da Vinci had to rob graves and to learn about the human body and how it worked? And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, that's insane. That can't be right, because what I've seen, what I've read, the supposed temple of Solomon, Solomon's temple that's described in the Bible, it is nothing more. Now, there may have been a literal temple. I don't know. I wasn't there. And those of you that know me, that's my motto. If I wasn't there, I'm not going to say, yes, I'm absolutely certain it was there. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, it describes perfectly the human body, the 7 major systems of the human body, like the nervous system, the digestive system, circulatory system, everything. The 7 systems of the human body are described in Solomon's temple. And then you have the Holy of Holies itself, which is the pineal gland, and it's described, even the name in Latin for the pineal gland, where the pineal gland sits in the human brain, is called the telos. I never can get that right. Anyway, it's Latin that means mercy seat, and that's where it is said that God himself, that the Spirit of God sat in the temple between the 2 cherubim, the 2 angels on top of the Ark of the Covenant. So what does that tell you? It tells you the Ark of the Covenant is really in your brain. And the Ark, A-R-K, is really Ark, A-R-C, bioelectrical. What does that tell you? It tells you that the cherubim, the angels, when their wings touched on top of the Ark of the Covenant, it's describing the 2 hemispheres of your brain that are seemingly opposites. They're like at war with each other. One is logical, one is creative, one is very rational, one is very carefree. But at the point of your pineal gland, that's the... Hey, Nazreen, glad you joined us. At the point of your pineal gland, that's the closest that they come together. Okay, well, when you have the pineal gland that sits right there on the mercy seat, which is, it's literally called that in Latin, the mercy seat. I believe that there was an arc, a bioelectrical arc, a current that joined the 2. Now, I'm not preaching, but listen, Jesus said, when the 2 become one, then that person is whole, meaning they are powerful. They are a force to be reckoned with. Everything, their eyes are open. They are awakened. They are enlightened. They understand truth. They're no longer blind. The blind see, the deaf hear, the crippled walk. He wasn't talking so much about literal blind people seeing and literal deaf people hearing and literal crippled people walking. He was talking about people being whole. Now, there were probably many, just like there are today, there are many blind people. They're still blind, but they can see. Deaf people, they're still deaf, but they can hear. There's crippled people. They're still crippled, but they can walk. It's all in the mind. It's dealing with that knowledge that is so powerful that it allows that who cares if a person's blind? They can still see. Because they realize that their real eyes are not the eyes in their head. Now think about that. I mean, that's powerful. Because how many of us we look at, what would happen if we lost our vision? Well, it would be bad. I mean, it would be bad. But there's much more powerful things, much more important things many more powerful things than our physical vision or our hearing or our physicality. I mean, I'm just saying, yes, that's important, but that's not all important. Just some things that I want to. The Latin word for the bone that holds the pituitary gland, actually, it's the pituitary gland and the pineal gland are very, very important. They're close together in the center of the brain. The sella turcica holds the pituitary gland, and sella turcica in Latin means mercy seat. And if you can't really, if that doesn't tell you, if that doesn't shout to you, hey, look at what we've hidden. And these people that I talk about, these spiritual giants, and I'm not talking about literal giants. Whoa, I said the wrong word. I'm talking about spiritual geniuses. I mean, they knew what they were talking about. But just like the time of the Inquisition, you couldn't run around talking about this stuff. I mean, you'd be burned at the stake. And it's probably been this way for, I don't know, since the beginning of mankind, I suppose. I mean, I'm just saying, it's been pretty rough for anyone speaking truth. Because the first thing is kill them, Why? Well, there's something about truth that empowers people, empowers the masses. And the few that govern the masses, they don't want that. But it's just like the sphenoid bone in your skull, in your head. It looks like a butterfly. It's in the shape of a butterfly, and it has what's called lesser wings and greater wings. Now, in the Bible, it says that the wings of the cherubim would touch, or they were close to touching, and they were made of pure gold. Okay, well, there is no metal that is more conductive to electricity than gold. So when you have that bioelectrical current that arcs over and joins the two hemispheres, the two lobes of your brain, the two become one. Also, like I said, I'll post pictures in the group. By the way, the group is the same, the Texas Live podcast. So those of you listening that aren't taking part in the live chat, go and join the group. Look at the pictures, because it's a closed group, but you can join and you can see the pictures. The bone literally looks like an owl flying with its eyes open. I'm telling you, when you see this, you are going to go, oh wow. Oh, it's this is a game changer. I mean, it really opens your eyes. There's these eyes on the sphenoid bone are actually called the foramen canals to the eyes. Okay, Jesus speaks about this in Revelation chapter 3, verse 14. 3:14 3.14 is pi. Okay, this really gets deep. And then he says, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. And unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith and goes on. But that's Revelation 3:13 and 14. Like I said, 3:14 is pi. Okay? He says, let him that hath an ear, let him hear. Well, everyone has ears, right? He's saying, no. Let them that understand what the Spirit says to the churches, the 7 churches. The 7 churches are just like I talked about Solomon's temple being the 7 major systems of your body. Your nervous system, circulatory system, respiratory system. And not only that, but the chakras. You know, your base chakra, crown chakra. Okay, and then it goes on. The sphenoid bone, the top of the sphenoid bone is the mercy seat, the selaterska. The sphenoid bone itself would be the Holy of Holies. And then in the Bible it says, and Jacob called the place Peniel. Now it's spelled differently, but it's the same thing. It's talking about the same thing. Peniel, Peniel. And the pineal gland is Pinnial. So there's that language of the birds, or the green language. That's okay. Well, we hate it too. Thank you, and have a good night. But and Jacob called the place Peniel. He says, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. So that makes you really wonder, or it makes me wonder, I'll be honest. Who is God? You know, I mean, come on, people. I mean, really, it's okay. It's okay to ask questions like that. I'm just saying, Jacob's called the place Peniel. He says, for I've seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Well, he saw God face to face. So, if that's so, and I believe it is, then who or what is God? The truth is, well, let me rephrase that. I'm going to present things to you, and you can make up your mind whether they're truth or not. But the Bible says that Jesus was taken, that he went to the temple every day, or that he taught in the temple, and that he was taken to Golgotha, which in Hebrew means the place of the skull. And so the truth of that is that the temple is between your right temple and your left temple. That's the temple. And the place of the skull where he was crucified, meaning Golgotha, the place of the skull, there were people that hid this knowledge to weaken the masses and control the masses. There were people who hid this knowledge to preserve it, to empower the masses, so that one day when the time was right, when people could understand it, they would be empowered. And I believe that time's now. Golgotha, the place of the skull. Jesus was taken there, was crucified. The place of the skull is in your head. It is your skull. It is in each and every individual's head. How long did Jesus live? 33 years. How many vertebrae are there in the human spine? There are 33 vertebrae. When you reach the 33rd, you reach the base of the skull. Golgotha, the place of the skull, where Jesus was crucified. And there were two thieves, one on his right side, one on his left side. And they were at war with each other. One was for Jesus, the other one was against Jesus. It's the two lobes of your brain, the right and the left. Like I said, the right is the creative, free-spirited. The left is the judgmental, the logical, the rational. That's what it's talking about. That's what it's talking about. Now, I'm not saying that the crucifixion did not take place. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it could be the law of double reference where, yes, Jesus was crucified. Yes, there was a thief on his right, a thief on his left. They were against each other. But it's a pattern of the human brain. It's a pattern of enlightenment. Because when you reach Golgotha, the place of the skull, when you're crucified, you die. What is that? That's dying to self. That's dying to ego. It's describing enlightenment. It's describing transcendence. It's describing dying to self and becoming alive to real power, to real spiritual power. The reality is the Bible is full of metaphors for your to release chemicals in your body. Because we communicate with God, and if you view God as the universe, the YOUNIVERSE, the universe inside you. What did Jesus say? And I've said this so many times, don't look for the kingdom of heaven outside yourself. It's within you. We communicate with God, the universe, through our pituitary pineal glands, the single eye. Jesus said, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. And then it says God is light. When we communicate, when God communes with us and the pineal gland is open, it is said that a bright white light is often seen by the participant. And that's true. Your pineal gland produces a bioluminescent light that is white, and it's blue, I believe, bluish green, and it is only produced in darkness. Now get that. That's huge. It's only produced in darkness. And how many times does the Bible and do spiritual text talk about being in darkness and letting your light shine? Whoa. That's huge. That's powerful. Because as long as you're looking for something outside of yourself for your light to shine, guess what? It's never going to shine. You're never going to find it. Why? Because you're looking over it. You're looking over the very thing you're looking for. It's like people that are so eager and so busy doing good things to get to heaven that if they don't slow down, they're going to run by it. They're going to miss it. And again, that's a metaphor, but it's very true. So the also here's the another description of Solomon's temple. It is it's been said that God told Moses to make the tabernacle in the image of himself, or by the pattern of the tabernacle. And the pattern of the tabernacle is nothing more than the human body. There's the digestive system. There's the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the nervous system, and it just goes on and on, leading up to the top, which is the Holy of Holies, again, the pineal. And that's why that at 33 years, Jesus was crucified. At the 33rd vertebrae is the place of the skull where the crown chakra is reached. And once that's reached, then what happens? Well, it's freedom. I mean, there's no more that person is enlightened. Plain and simple. So the when it talks about the how the priests had to dress, and it talks about the different things that they wore, like the breastplate. Those are all symbols. Those are all metaphors for different things that are of the human body and of the human mind. And it's saying that if you can free your mind of that, then of these things, and accept these things, then you're well on your way to true spiritual knowledge. Now, this is really, really a fascinating subject to me, because it's not just one or two things. It's endless. It's like it's hyperdimensional. Exodus 25:22 says, "And there I will meet with you. I will commune with you from above the mercy seat and between the two cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony." Okay, well that's the telecircuses, and the one angel and the other angel have often been identified as one strand of DNA and the other strand of DNA. And when they combine, they form the double helix, the double helix of our very DNA, which is what Jacob saw when he said that he saw a staircase and the angels of God ascending and descending from heaven. He was seeing the DNA, the double helix of the DNA. He was actually seeing what looked like angels, like it says on the top of the Ark of the Covenant, the DNA strand number 1, DNA strand number 2. And the Bible says, take this book of the law and put it in the side of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there with you for a witness against you, or, for you. So it's talking about the book of the law, just like it talks about the book, the book of love. Or, hey, Michelle, glad you're here. So it's talking about the book of life, which I believe is our very DNA. And it says, he whose name was not found written in the book of life is, forever cursed or damned or whatever. Well, I was talking about your DNA, the book of life. Just like it says here, the book of the law. It's not an actual book. I mean, it doesn't have pages. It has information. And that information is your DNA. Everything. Now, this also has to do with hydrogen, the first element that every other element is built upon or built of. And it also has to do with the atom, the electron, the proton, and the neutron. So it says that there's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. There's the electron, proton, and neutron. Do you see how this goes? I mean, people that they hate the Bible. That's just a bunch of bull. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just how it explains truth, and it's explaining the electron, the proton, and the neutron. 666, Michelle. Exactly. Whoa, the number of the beast. I'm so scared. No, it's actually the atomic number of carbon that everything's built on, that everything's built of in this world. Carbon-based. The number of man. Exactly. What is man? Well, yep. Carbon, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, 6 electrons. And there you have it. The number of man. What is man what is carnal man? He's a beast. Or I should say a person that's not controlled by their spiritual knowledge, but controlled by their mind. They could be. It's that meism. Me. I have to fulfill my desires, and very much like a beast. There's really no difference. And not that I'm calling people beasts, but you understand what I'm saying. I don't mean any offense, because at any given time, we've all been there or still there. So No offense. And then he goes on to talk about the RNA, which is let's see, Michelle, you say they say one thing but it means another. Beast man. Right. Absolutely. They're describing, they're describing truth, but it's, like I said, during many times in, history, you couldn't speak openly about this. I mean, you would be burned at the stake. I mean, you would be killed. You would be punished. Simply because they didn't want this information out. They didn't want people to know what was going on. But the truth is, in my opinion, RNA, where it talks about the 2 tables of the testimony, it's talking about the nucleobases, the nucleotides, the golden pot of manna that was in the Ark of the Covenant. That's part of the DNA, the deoxyribose, and Aaron's rod that turned into a serpent and then bloomed, phosphorus. Those are the 2 tables of the testimony would be adenine, cytosine, and then it would be, the second would be thymine and guanine, which would be what makes up DNA. And then you have the golden pot of manna, deoxyribose, Aaron's rod, the phosphorus, which is all placed in the Ark of the Covenant, which would be RNA, which, along with DNA, there you have it. That would be the Ark of the Covenant, the nucleus, what makes up our very DNA. So people that are searching for the Ark of the Covenant, they're going to be searching a long time, because yes, it's describing science. Exactly. And not to take anything away from it, but I don't believe that it made itself. I do believe that there is a creator. That's my belief. I'm not trying to pass it on. I'm not trying to pressure anybody else to believe it, but to me, it didn't just form on its own. It's too complex. It's amazing at how it is describing science, and it's very exciting that it's describing that. It's my opinion that it's describing science and knowledge that we haven't discovered yet. Now, Richard Dawkins, the famous atheist that wrote the book River Out of Eden in 1995, he's really caught a lot of flack from people, but he himself said the machine code of the genes is uncannily computer-like. Well, we've talked about the simulation theory and how that this is a test. This is like an experiment. It's like a big test. You pass or you fail, and that's basically what has been said in the Bible and spiritual text, that if you live a good life, you do this, you do that. If you live in love and not hate, then you live eternally and you're rewarded. If you don't, you spend eternity in hell. Well, okay. Well, it has been proven, and I'll put this up in the group, that the genetic code of the Ebola virus, and this was just a sample. They just used this for some reason, I don't know, but that they took a genetic sample of the Ebola virus and compared it to an HTML code that displays web pages in the browser. And they concluded that both are software. Both are literal software. Michelle, you say the Creator is all. It's like an octopus, and we are the tentacles. We are one. Some flourish, some don't. Nothing is lost. All is recreated, in my opinion. Well, that sounds about right to me. I mean, my problem with and this is going to shock some people, but I really have a problem with when the Bible says that God is that God is love, that God is unconditional love, and that love is God, and then it says that that God is all merciful, and forgiving and understanding, and then it describes a place that's created where you're not punished, you're not disciplined, you burn in the fires of hell forever. I mean, it's like, how do you correlate those two? I mean, okay, a God of infinite love, but one that will make sure that you burn in hell forever and ever and ever without any chance of reprieve or escape. I don't know. Recently I've been thinking about that, and it's just something that it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, something's not right about that. Something's up. So, in my opinion, right, exactly. You say that describes control. That is a personal ego, not an infinite source. Absolutely. And it's like people say, well, you shouldn't question God. Look, if the Creator is threatened by my questions, then He's not the Creator for me, or it's not the Creator for me. Because my idea of the Creator is, like you said, Michelle, an infinite source. He or it is not going to be the least bit offended or threatened by any question that I may have. So I'm going to ask away, like I always have. And that's asinine to say that, oh, you shouldn't question God, No, I say ask questions. It's when you don't ask questions, when you don't question authority, it's when you suffer. So, yeah, I mean, like if God Himself showed up right here, right now, I'm serious, if He did, or it did, I would ask for credentials. Prove yourself. Yeah, just show up and tell me you're God. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Not buying it. No offense, but, prove yourself to me. And then we've all heard of the hero's journey, right? Yes. When someone tells you, well, you just have to have blind faith, turn around and walk away. Do not buy that. Do not buy that. It's BS. Don't be tricked. Don't be lied to. Don't be deceived like that, because blind faith is just ignorance. Blind faith will get you injured or killed. Yeah, don't have blind faith in anything. Always question, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right. That's right. Because you say, Michelle, if we don't question, we will be lost. Well, that's right, because like I said, we don't gain knowledge, we don't gain truth or the knowledge of truth from the answer itself. Now, let me explain that. If the answer to our questions, or if the answer was just given to us without us asking the question, it would be foreign to us. We would have it, but we would be saying, okay, what's this for? What is this? And where do we find truth? Where do we find what is the answer? It's found in the question. It's found in the questions, the quest for truth, the question. That's where it is. So if you don't ask, yeah, you're not going to find. And if it's given to you, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to know what it's for. But if you go through the asking, the questions, little by little, you receive that, and you understand in time. And I know that's hard, because patience is not a word in my personal dictionary. I stand in front of the microwave saying, hurry! I mean, nothing can go quick enough for me. Patience, I guess I missed out on that day. They were handing out patience, because I have none. But, well, I say I have none. I have a little now that I'm older, but not much. But you're right, Michelle. It's about our heart. Seek truth. And within every heart, I don't care who you are, you can try to be the most macho man in the world. I don't care who you are, because we've all been there. And you can try to put on this bravado that you don't need it, but you know beyond any shadow of doubt that you want it, you need it, and you hunger for it. And I want to tell you that it's absolutely fine to admit that, because you're never going to get away from it, so you might as well just admit it. But anyway, I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, I'm going to discuss the hero's journey, which is great. I mean, it is very, it tells a lot, and in a way that is just absolutely well, it just speaks to your heart, but speaks to your mind as well. And it's it starts out in a very unusual way and goes through three different acts, three different stages that we all will recognize and are all very familiar with. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and see you then.
It's so hard to be near you. You make it hard for me to breathe. And I can't stand to see you smile, 'cause it kills me from within. Your voice is like an arrow that pierces me through the heart. And your touch is like fire that will burn my skin. I wish that I could say what I really feel, 'cause I'm in love with you. Yeah, I'm in love with you. I know I'm not supposed to be, but I am. I'm in love with you. It's so hard to see you when you are with him. And it's so hard to hear you when he makes you laugh. The ring around your finger is a noose around my neck that tightens with every hour and every day that passes by. If only you could see that it should be you and me, 'cause I'm in love with you. Yeah, I'm in love with you. I know I'm not supposed to be, but I am. I'm in love with you.
Okay, I'm back. Michelle, you say that you experience no fear because you're seeking truth with all your heart. You're vulnerable and question everything. That's good. That's really good. You say religion is the hardest veil to pierce. Read the Bible. That is how I woke up. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's people say that which if they don't say it, I know how they feel anyway, because I can see it on their face. And being an empath, I can really tell. But it's like, it's like you can talk about the most ungodly, things. I mean, disgusting, like horrible things around many people. And that's fine. I mean, they may say something about it, but they don't get up and walk off. But if you start talking about the Bible, many people take it as they're being preached to, and they get up and walk off. And if they don't, they wish they could, because you can just see it. It's like, I wish I was somewhere else, or beam me up, Scotty, or kill me, God. I mean, it's like, oh man, I just, and for me, I'm pretty much the same way. I have stopped, or I stopped a long time ago. Like a lot of people, I was in church, and I wasn't spiritually educated. I was indoctrinated into the man-made way to right. Well, oh my God, yes. You say even within the Christian community, the fighting is insane. Oh man, I didn't know what hate was until I became a member of a church. And it's like, there's people hating me that they don't even know me, and I'm like, what in the world, And so I decided then and there, that's where I cut my teeth, to afflict the comforted and comfort the afflicted. I'm serious. Yeah, people that want to act spiritual and with this ultra religious, demeanor, and this ultra religious hateful spirit, yeah, come see me. We'll have a lot of fun, because those people are the ones that are so uptight, and anything you say can and will be used against you, and that's fine, because I don't care. And they do. And I don't care I don't care what they say about me, but they're very, very, they care very much about what's said about them. And it's like, there again, we go back to know thyself. People can say what they want to about me. I know who I am. So, they can say things. Does that make it true? No. So I'm not worried about it. But yes, the religious indoctrination that has been, that people have suffered, you're right, it's the hardest veil to pierce, because it is so, well, I'll put it this way. Well, actually, I'm not putting it this way. Personal experience. There was this young woman in England, London to be exact, that was an actress. She was an up and coming actress in London, and she contacted me about some spiritual problems that she was having, and she was having true demonic activity in her house, and she contacted me about it. And so I talked to her, and she told me that she had joined a church, that she had become a member of this church. What she believed was a Baptist church or something like that. It was a Baptist church, but it was a Baptist church that was kind of like a Baptist church with a special edition, or it was like a new edition of. Basically, it was a homegrown, just calling itself Baptist. Well, come to find out, it wasn't a church at all. It was a cult, and it wasn't a spiritual, spiritually good at all. It turned out to be quote unquote satanic, demonic, or whatever. Long story short, whenever I say satanic or demonic, it's what I'm really saying is it is someone is being served. And when I say someone, it is usually the leader or the pastor or the so-called pastor or whatever. And in this case, that was the same thing. This guy was doing a lot of rituals, and it's the left path, yes, and they call it the left path. They call it this gets pretty deep. They call it the 333 current or the 93 current. It's called so many things, and but it's just the wrong path, is what it is. And the further that one goes down that path, the more alluring it gets and the easier it gets. And this girl was like 20, 24, 25. She was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and intelligent. And she became addicted, right, which is service to self. And any Satanist, any true Satanist, and when I say true, I'm talking about like Anton LaVey. Okay, Anton LaVey was a showman, but he was a Satanist. But he would tell you himself, when someone would ask him, okay, do you really serve Satan? And he's, man, there's no such thing as Satan. I serve myself. He said that the highest day on the satanic calendar is your birthday. And this is really something. But years ago, I was listening to Coast to Coast, and there was absolutely, Michelle. Many pastors and people are service to self. Most, yes, absolutely. But I was listening to Coast, and there was a well-known satanic author on there that's written many books, and I listened to the show, and I thought this guy's like, really something else. Well, he said something about a place that's very that not many people know about, and really piqued my interest. So after the show, I sent him an email, and I was surprised when I got an email back about 45 minutes later, and we exchanged phone numbers, and I talked to this guy for like an hour, and I asked him, I said, you say that you're a Satanist and everything. I said, you seem like such a nice guy. And he says, well, I am a nice guy. And I said, yeah. I said, but I've been taught all my life, that, if they're Satanists, that they can't be nice or whatever. And he said, yeah, well, he says, But then this was the telling thing about him is, I said, well, would you take like $100 from an old woman, or would you do something like that? And he said, absolutely not. He said, but if I saw her drop $100 bill, he said, I would pick it up, and he says, and I would walk away with it. And he said, I wouldn't think twice about it. And that was something that really, really struck me. I'm thinking, wow, that's not really good or evil. Although it's kind of evil, but it's perplexing is what it is, because I'm not actually taking that from the woman, but you're not giving it back. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's like the guy has a conscience, but as long as he can justify, well, the wind would have blown it away anyway, or something like that, then he's fine with it. But he would never harm, or he told me he would never harm or do anything. And so I named some cases of where there had been like real violence and everything, and he said those are self-styled idiots, he said, that make us look bad. And this right, Michelle, exactly. Is it a gift or is it theft? You say, I agree personally, I would give back. Well, me too. But a lot of people would say, well, that's God giving me this $100 because the woman is rich, and that's God's way of giving it to me. There's a million ways to justify it either way. So is it good or bad? It's neither. Really. I mean, I can't get away from viewing it as kind of bad, but you understand what I'm saying, I hope, because I'm saying that it's not what happens. It's how you justify it. It's how you react to it. And that's basically what he told me was it's not what you do, it's how you react to what's done to you and to events around you. And I'm thinking, so it's pretty much like Christianity. Right. It's an opportunity to make a decision. What is that? Choice. It all comes back to choice every single time. And even if you choose not to make a choice, you've made your choice. You can't escape it. So, but I talked to him, and this guy's like personal friends with Jack Nicholson. And I'm not going to say anything, but do the math there. Yeah. Jack Nicholson, well, he's, pretty, Anyway, but this guy was very nice, very cordial, and actually he was actually more polite and well-spoken than a lot of people that I've talked to that were supposedly Christians. And I was shocked. I was really shocked because I was expecting him to be a total jerk, and he wasn't. I mean, he was very down to earth and just a really nice guy. And but this this girl had joined this church, what she thought was a church, and it turned out that, and so you say, if you think it's stealing, then it is, but if you don't, then it probably technically wouldn't be wrong. That's just it. That's exactly it. Is if you can justify it in your mind to where you have no guilt, then technically it's not wrong to you. And how many of us, that's a whole show in itself. How many of us can justify what we do, or could justify what we could do? You can justify anything. But it all comes back to choice. I mean, and choice, free will, whatever you want to call it, is a huge, I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Mainly due because you can't escape it. It's something you have to do. And but this girl, make a long story short, she joined this church, became very active, and the more active she became, the more she was pulled into the inner circle or whatever. And she found out that the leader was very skilled in things such as neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, and a lot of other things, as well as being very well knowledgeable of occult techniques and rituals and things like that. Well, what I said on last night's show about when you hear, people say black magic or the dark arts or whatever, it's really nothing more than mental manipulation. That's all it is. It's just manipulating someone's mind who's unaware that they're being manipulated. You're right. Subconscious programming. Right. Now, that's not to say that there's not, and I really don't know what you would call it, because it would just be called I don't know. It's very hard to describe because there's so many labels and terms, but this would be someone that was I guess you could say a conjurer that would, and they're rare. I mean, it would be someone who is really communicating with ultra-dimensional negative entities. And this guy was. And when she was brought into the, closer to the inner circle, or she was brought into the inner circle, she found out that this guy was actually had impregnated, I don't know, like 5 or 6 women, young, women in that church, and they were under his control, and there were 2 there that they really feared this guy because they said that he could see them, he could different things, and that he could send things to them. And she was telling me this, and so I asked her, I said, does he wear a blindfold? I said, when he does his, rituals and everything. And she said, yes, he does. She said, how did you know that? And she had sent me some pictures of herself. And I said, because I can see him in some of these pictures. And she said, she said, I didn't send you any pictures of me with him. And I said, I'm not talking about that. I said, I can see him in your mirror. I said, I can see this face. I said, I guess it's him. I said, it's a man wearing a blindfold. And I said, he has a mustache. And I said, and I can see him I can see him on your refrigerator, believe it or not. And I said, and there's a woman with him. And when I pointed it out to her, it really freaked her out because she said it was him. And she said that's what he would tell them was, that he was always watching them, and that they would actually cover their mirrors in their homes, and that he would complain about it and tell them not to do that. And that's how powerful this guy was. And so I talked to her and I counseled with her on 2 or 3 times a week for about 2 months. And one night I'm talking to her on the phone, and all hell breaks loose in her house. Talking, dishes start busting, crashing around, and she said, and she was upstairs. I mean, this woman had money. She's very, like I said, very successful, and she said downstairs that her cabinets were flying open and there were dishes breaking and water turning on and by itself, and it's crazy. And I said, wow. I said, well, I said that sometimes happens. I said when someone talks to me, I said, I guess I should have told you that. I said, because I said the true powers that be, I mean, the true evil spirits, demons, whatever you want to call them, they do not like it. They hate it when somebody gets in contact with me. And I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm just saying that they know that it will be that I will not stop till hell freezes over, and I'll skate on the ice before I will give up helping someone that really wants it, and that I don't fear them. And but what happened was, I didn't see this coming, but she said, I said, yeah, I said that sometimes happens, and I said, I'm sorry. And she said, well, how do I know it's not you? And I'm like, whoa. I said, well, I think I've proven myself. I said, I've, talked with you, counseled with you for almost 2 months now. And I said, I've never asked you for a dime or anything. And I said, I've never asked you for a thing. I said, I just want to help you. And she said, yeah, but she says, how do I know that you're not just enjoying doing this? And I said, well, there's really no way. I said, you just have to, trust your heart. And I said, and trust, what I've done. I said, if you think that I'm going to sit here and defend myself when I've done nothing but attempt to help you, I said, then you're mistaken. I said, because I'm not going to do that. And she says, well, okay. And so she starts asking me questions and about spiritual things, about the Bible. So I answer her with spiritual things. I answer her biblically. And when I do, she said, wait. She said, that's the same way that he would answer. That's the same thing that he would say. So what that meant is this guy was really good. I mean, this guy he had it down. What he had done was he had indoctrinated these girls, this one girl for sure. He had completely brainwashed them. And the way he did it is he used the very thing that could help them, the only thing that could help them, to brainwash them. And that was spiritual truth. Scripture. Explaining things in a spiritual way. And every time I would try to, I would just hear her, she was just, I don't know, she didn't like it because it was exactly along the same lines as what he would say. So I told her, I said, this is what's happened. I said, you are being controlled. I said, because he has put this in your mind. I said, as some kind of, fail-proof way, a non-fail way, or like, I don't know how you'd even, like trap doors or something, to where when I mention anything towards, a possible solution, you're automatically going to shut that door because you don't want to hear it. Because it's simultaneously something that comforts you and something that tortures you. I said, so, that, and exactly, he used the Bible to comfort and to torture her. And when she would ask me a question about the Bible, I would even try to answer describing, giving her the answer in my own words. But even then, it was spiritual. And there again, she was just, there was nothing I could do, nothing I could say to get this girl to trust me. And every time, from about, it was close to 2 months when the activity started, and it just became more and more alarming, like slamming doors and, just all kinds of stuff, and a cracked mirror in her bathroom. And so finally, it became so bad that one night I was asleep, and what I did was talking to this girl on the phone, and the activity starts, and she's really scared. She's like frightened, and her dog, I can hear her dog whining under the bed. I mean, just really scared. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to let this guy know, or whatever this is, I'm just going to let it know that it can come and since it's so upset about you talking to me or me talking to you, hey, the playground's open. So so I did, and I just told him, I said, hey, leave her alone. I said, you want to pick on somebody, come pick on me. Now, I wasn't saying that to a demon. I'm not an idiot. I'm saying that to this guy. And so I didn't expect anything to happen, because most of the time it doesn't. But that night it did. And so I'm asleep, and I see this guy, and it's like a dream, but it's like also really taking place. And just you've you've heard of the astral plane or whatever. Yeah, this is like this is like a little bit more than a dream, and I can see this guy walking very, very rapidly towards me, and he's not happy, and so this is all spiritual. This is not physical, of course, and so he just attacks me. I mean, just like no fear at all, and gets in his afflictions and punches and knees and everything, and but was really, was, I don't know, I'll just say it. I was excited. And I was like, wow, okay, it's on. And so then I started, and evidently this guy had never had anybody really that would fight back and wasn't afraid of him. And after that, nothing ever happened again like that. But he certainly was not happy with me, and I was really shocked that he had the power to do that. I mean, I really didn't think that he did, but he did. But he just didn't have, wasn't a, I don't know, I guess he just liked hurting other people with no challenge. And I love the challenge, so that was something that he wasn't counting on. So, and I'm glad. But anyway, sad thing is about a week after that, try to call the girl, and she had blocked me. I tried to message her. I was blocked there too, and never saw her again. Never talked to her again. And it really, really bothered me. Really, man, I hate it when that happens. When I work with somebody in a case like that, that's really, really, they're really experiencing demonic affliction, and it's so frustrating because demons work. Their main weapon is deception, and so there's a lot of things that that I tell people when we first start, saying, look, you're going to get a lot of things that go through your mind, and it's not your thoughts. It's going to be a lot of things. You are going to be told that I'm evil, that I'm using you, that I'm trying to, and I said, but if you do the math, I'm not charging you anything, and I've actually flown like over 1,000 miles and spent on my dime, on my money, my time, helping people, and I'm not charging them a dime. So somebody that says, well, you're just in this to use people, and yeah, whatever. I let my actions speak for me. I'm not worried about that, but it is amazing how things can get so twisted. So I have to make it very, very clear now whenever I talk to somebody before we even start that the worst thing you can do is to start it and then to end it before everything's done, until it's all over with. Just stick with me, because if you don't, it's gonna be bad. It's like the person really, really suffers and they don't see it but the thing too about that is the main goal is isolation. They want to isolate you from anyone who can help you, especially people that can help you. And in the end, it's total isolation, to where that entity or that person, whatever, is the only person that that's both their comforter and their tormentor, and is their savior and their demon. It's sad, but yeah, that was one that really bothered me. Not that they all don't, but I mean that was one that I knew that girl was going to really, really suffer. Never heard from her again. And so, let's see, Michelle, you say physical manifestations are driven by demons. Yep. You were standing in sovereignty always. She needed to declare her own sovereignty. That's just it. Her own sovereignty, you say, to take it on herself. We are in arms of all. Yeah, but she didn't realize that. That's just it. That's true. Everyone can or could, but they can only do it so much as they believe they can. And that's basically what I do. And I've said that before when I've talked about the deliverance cases that I've done myself, as far as actual demonic activity and people that are dealing with demonic oppression and even possession. It's not me. Afterwards they thank me, and I'm like, you know what? I was just a guide. I was just your coach, just cheering you on. You're the one that did everything. And I just helped you see that you could do it, and you did it. So thank yourself, And let's see, Michelle, you say, if they don't do the work and take the lead, then I wouldn't bother. Well, that's happened too. And when they refuse to, and they just want a quick fix, and they don't want to do anything, I always tell them, hey, look, it's not just me, it's us. It's mainly you. So if you're not willing to do anything, then I'm just wasting my time. And there's been cases where we've started and the person has just, they want me to do everything. I can't. It's a waste of my time, because as soon as I leave, then we call right back, or, and nothing is going to start getting better in cases like that until they start. And until they start, it's done. I mean, it's failed from the very start. And there have been a few where they've refused to start, and I've had to pull away, had to stop. And then I've had other, people call me and ask me about these people and say, they said that you had worked with them, and yes, I did. And so they usually ask me, so did you pull away because they were spiritually lazy? And I'm like, yes, I did. And I would suggest you do the same. And, well, don't worry, because I am. And it's not funny, but all I can do is laugh about it, because to keep from crying, because it's sad. But Randy, you say, just like abusive relationships. Absolutely. It's like I always say, an actual demon is just like a jealous, abusive boyfriend on steroids, magnified by like 100. It's just wow. I mean, you talk about control, you talk about jealousy. Yeah, it's rough. And then Randy say, if you start finding your way out and go back, it just gets worse. That's right. And that's what so many do, is they get into it, they start to get out of it, and then they go back. And somebody that goes back, maybe once, I'll still work with them. Twice, I'm done. Don't do that. Because you're just asking for severe torment and possibly death. And you see it all the time. Although it's not written that way. You see mother, drives herself and her kids into a lake or something, or drowns her kids or whatever, Let me tell you something. That woman did not do that. That woman did not do that on a whim. She didn't do that on her own. Mothers do not kill their children. That is something that is beyond, in my opinion, that's something that is beyond human, nature. I mean, that's something that goes against human nature and requires something that is supernatural to cause that. And those that have done it, when you look at them, you can look at their eyes, and their eyes are dead. I mean, the person's not there. They're just dead inside. And yeah, it's that and a lot more things. And then Michelle, you say that's what we need to share. Sovereignty. Give them looks. Sovereignty. Give them looks. Give them looks, or I'm not sure what you mean by that. But you say agree, Randy. You can't fight the battle for them. They have to put in the work and fight too. Absolutely. Which I'm, willing to, until they're strong enough to, do it themselves. But hey, don't expect me to come in and do all of it. I can't. Because if you're not willing to, and if you don't, then you're never going to be free. You're always going to be controlled. You're always going to be afflicted, and that's the same way with if a child's being afflicted. It's like people say, why is the child? Why is my child the target? And I'm like, your child's not the target. You are. The child's never the target. It's always a parent that's the target, because afflicting the parent wouldn't be painful enough. You hurt somebody's child, you're really hurting them. So that's usually the case. Like 99% of the time, when it's a child. It's not anything the child's done. It's not anything towards the child. The child's just a tool to get to the parent. Yeah, exactly. Your child is a way to torture the parent, and they do, and they know that, and they do it. So it's like people, they miss the mark. They think the child's the target. It's like, whoa, we got to get some clarity here, some vision. If you want to make progress against this thing, your child's not the target. You are. One of you are, whether it be the father or the mother. And, and then they start taking action and things start getting better. So that's, and you don't learn that in in any college. You don't learn that in any curriculum or any books. You learn that by experience. The school of hard knocks. And yeah, I've seen that many times. And it doesn't have to be, it's not always a young child either. I mean, it can be a grown child, and it can take many forms. I mean, just, any way that, the child can be afflicted, whether it be by drugs or anything. But I'm not saying that, that all people who have problems with drugs are being demonically oppressed or whatever, because it's really rare. I mean, it's not like that I get contacted every day or every week. Matter of fact, I've been doing this for 27 years, and until 2017, it was like I might get contacted like once or twice a year. And then 2017, something happened. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and it was August 2017. That's right. Absolutely, and I'll get to that in just a second. Can be by sexual partners as well. Yes, absolutely. But 2017, August 2017, I started this Facebook group that I still have now. That wonderful group of people. We call it the Framily, and no, we're not a cult. It's just friends that have become family. And I started it after being moderator of a larger group. And when I started it, there was a lot of people that were doing things like channeling, or there was this group that was encouraging people to channel spirits and stuff like that, and a lot of people were being demonically oppressed. And so August 2017, I found myself dealing with at least 5 people a week that were being demonically oppressed. And from August of 2017 to January the 1st, 2018, I would say I probably dealt with 40 people, where it had just been like 1 or 2 a year. So that was a grueling time. I was like going nonstop with that. And there was one woman that was contacted me, that I had no idea that this woman was into what she was into, and she was actually mentoring some other people. And she contacted me and said that she hadn't left her house in 3 days, and that she was feeling suicidal, and she was crying. And I asked her when this started, and she says, well, when I let my spirit guide enter me. And I said, do what? I said, what'd you just say? And she said, I let my spirit guide enter me. And I said, I'm thinking, whoa. I said, spirit guide? And yes, I said, I played along. I said, well, what's the spirit guide's name? Well, when she told me, I said, do you know what that means? And she says, no. And I said, it's very, very powerful. I said, you have no idea what you're dealing with. And I said, so how long has this spirit guide been with you? And she said, since I was 9. This one was 45 years old. I said, oh, 9 years old, huh? And she said, yes. And she said 3 days ago, she said she said she wanted to become one with me and wanted to enter me. And she said, so we did a ritual, and she entered me. And she said, but since that happened, she said I've been experiencing this bad entity, and my spirit guide's nowhere to be found. And I'm thinking, whoa, not too bright, are we? And I said, that's because your spirit guide is the negative entity. It just took it from the age of 9 till 45 to work its way in. And she says, no, she said, it can't be. She said, it wouldn't take that long. And I said, well, it's not that long when you're dealing with an entity. It's not long at all. And I said, I was more than happy to wait patiently as long as it knew that it was going to eventually enter. And yeah, that's right. Spirit guide did the old switcheroo. That's exactly right. And it was to the point where this woman would not. She couldn't understand it. She couldn't comprehend it. And she says, well, I want to know where she is. And I said, she's in you. She's the one tormenting you. She never was your guide. She's always been your tormentor. I said, yeah, switcheroo's right. I said, that's right. I said, haven't you listened to a word I've said? Don't ever let anything, enter you or cohabitat with you, or not at all. And so she so I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I said, but if you don't get help, or you don't let me help you, I said, then I said, I'm not gonna, I said, I'm just gonna have to remove you from the group, block you. And so she came back and she said, well, I got rid of it. And I said, well, let me make sure. She says, well, there's no need for you to make sure. And yeah, exactly, Randy. Hey, can I borrow your body for a minute? Yeah, exactly. Only a minute to them was like, forever. So I said, yeah, I said, I don't think so. I said, I said, for when it entered you, I said, it didn't enter you to stay for a few days. I said, it entered you to stay forever. And I said, I've been through this. I said, it is hell. It is pure hell. I said, you did the worst thing you could possibly do. You invited it in. And I said, and when you open yourself, when you willingly, that's willing possession. I mean, that is like the queen mother of all, sins, That's right. That's right. And that's what I told her. I said, she said, oh, she's beautiful. And I said, probably like an angel, right? She said, yes. And I said, even if an angel appears to you and says, which a real angel's not going to, I said, and says, let me enter your body. I said, hell no, and get away from me. I said, yeah, don't fall for that. or if it comes to you as a loved one, or blah blah blah, in any form, no, don't even get into dialogue with it, because that's what they count on, is like human curiosity. They know exactly what to say, exactly what to do to hook you, and when they hook you, they will reel you in, believe me. And it's like I've said too, it's like someone knocks at your door. Well, it's good to look through the peephole, but don't dare crack that door open, because when you do, if you crack that door even just a fraction of an inch, that is their sign that you've opened the door, and they will kick that door down and rush in. You might as well have flung that door wide open, because when that door cracks, that's you have invited them in. And that's why I say use discernment and look through that peephole, and even then, don't open the door. Because when you open it, it's very, very hard to, speaking metaphorically, to go through the house and get everything that's entered back out the same door and get the door closed, because they don't want to go. And but this woman, she really got mad. She got mad because I told her, I said, I'm not going to allow you back. I said, you've lied to me. I said, you won't accept my help. I said, and I know why you won't. I said, it won't let you. And I said, but you need to get some help from someone. This lady was in the Philippines. I said, but you need to get some help from someone. And there was a really good friend of mine at the time that was, personal friends with this woman, and she talked to her. And at first, she told me, she says, why are you being so mean to her? And I told her why. And she said, I don't believe you. And I said, well, call her, talk to her. So she did, and I expected this woman to call me back and say, tell me how much of a jerk I was and everything. But she called me back and she says, you're right. She says, man, there's something really, really wrong with her. She's not herself. And I said, exactly. She's not herself. She's not in control of herself. I said, it's in control now. And so this woman's very, very mad at me. I mean, enraged. And her sister called me. She called her sister, and her sister called me. And her sister told me that they were witches. Not good witches either. I mean, she didn't use that term in a good way. And she told me, she said, oh man, she called me words that you won't find on the Harvard temperament test. And she told me, she says, you're gonna pay. She said, you're gonna pay. And I said, yeah, okay. I said, I'm real scared. I said, but thanks anyway. I said, I'm not letting her back in. I said, because she didn't make any mention of what she was doing, and I said she was working with people, and I said, and I'm not putting people at that risk. I said of having somebody teaching them spiritual things, and I said, and then playing on the side with demons. It's not like hey, let's go play with Captain Howdy on our time off, and then let's come back and teach people online, because they won't know any different until we're on FaceTime. My head spins around. No, not literally, but it's not that bad, thank God. But it's much more subtle, which is even creepier. But this woman's sister told me, she says, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. And I said, yeah, okay. I said, I paid before. I said, but whatever. And so she's really trying to get to me, and I'm not letting her, I'm not letting. Well, that night, I kid you not, and I've got witnesses. I have a witness. That night in Texas, there was like a 2.4 or 2.5 earthquake. The epicenter was under my apartment. I'm not kidding. The building, we live on the third story. The building felt like that it actually swayed so much that it felt like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was so weird. It felt like that the building swayed so far to the south, and then back to the north, and then straightened up, that I came out of bed and my words were out loud, "Is that all you've got?" And after that, there was no more, but I was pretty impressed, to be honest with you. I mean, wow. That very night. Yeah, a 2.5 earthquake. Now, that's not a huge earthquake, but when you've just been threatened, yeah, that's right. Lady on the phone, you're going to pay. Saying, yeah, I know. I already bought my ticket. Yeah, exactly. I told her, yeah, looking forward to it or something like that. I don't even remember now. And just to further antagonize her, because she was really ticking me off, but also to let her know that I wasn't, she wasn't bothering me. But I really hope she's listening now. Not that she ever would, but if you're listening, yeah, that earthquake, wow, that was impressive. I have to say. 2.5, that's not really huge, but anybody that can do that, I mean, that's on a short amount of time, especially, it's pretty impressive. So, but see, Randy, you said that sounds like when my kids tell me we're not doing anything we're not supposed to, but don't come in the front room. Right, it's gone, but you don't need to look. Right. Michelle, you say no higher being will infringe on your rights or sovereignty if they are on your side. Absolutely. And it's like a higher entity, spirit of truth. They don't want a host. And that's exactly what that is. That's the dynamic of possession, is you are the host. They're the parasite. They are interdimensional parasites, and you let one in, or you let one attach to you. Well, the attachment can be voluntary or involuntary, but if they do attach, they will drain you dry. I mean, it's just like having a parasite, tapeworm, tick from hell, whatever. They will drain you dry, and you can believe that, or you can disbelieve it. It doesn't matter to me. But I guarantee you, everyone that it has happened to that did not believe it and made fun of it, they believe it now. I've never seen anyone that's been through it that remained a non-believer. Yeah, it's definitely something that's very convincing, and trust me, when you're experiencing it, it's like you're wondering why that you're the poster child for the worst depression and anxiety and fatigue that there ever has been inflicted on a human being, because it's not normal, and it doesn't respond to antidepressants, anti-anxiety, antipsychotic medications. It just doesn't, because it's not physical, and it's not mental. It's a spiritual problem, and that's why that it doesn't respond to any psychotherapy or to any therapy, because it's a spiritual problem, and the only thing that's going to help it is a spiritual answer, spiritual help. The only thing that will happen most of the time, and I've seen this many times, is go to any mental hospital, and you'll see people that are, sitting there, and I'm talking about the really, really bad ones, bad cases. You'll see people that are sitting there drooling all over themselves, staring ahead, Are they being treated? No, they're being subdued. Are they being helped? No, they're being subdued. What's their prognosis? Well, basically what you see right there. Are those people being helped? Well, if you call being subdued by antipsychotic medications, then yes, they're being helped, but as you can plainly see, those strong medications, they're not helping them at all. They're just keeping them calm, very calm, because again, it's a spiritual problem. And now, on the flip side of that, there are cases where it's believed to be demonic, and it's not. It's going to shock a lot of people, but the true story of the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose, the true story was of a German girl named Anneliese Michel. And I'll tell you, I have been through that case over and over and over, and there's a lot that people do not know about that case. And I'm telling you, that girl was not possessed. That girl was mentally ill, and they let her die. Her parents let her die, especially the mother. Let her die because they had a religious, an ultra-religious spiritual problem to the point of mental illness themselves. And this poor girl suffered. And even the church, even the Catholic Church, they actually participated, those two priests, they participated in helping this girl die. And it's like, whoa, they actually fell into the deception that was being perpetrated by the mother and father. And it's like, you couldn't see what was going on. I mean, there were so many mistakes made in that case, and it cost the girl her life. I mean, she died of cardiac arrest from malnutrition and dehydration and God only knows what else. I mean, and I've heard the I've heard the audio, I've seen some of the video, and I know she sounds horrible, but trust me, that is nothing more than, than someone who is mentally ill. I mean, anybody can do that. Anybody can do what she did. And I'm talking about screaming, the deep guttural voices and everything. People can do that. Now the real thing is, you don't look at the person next to you and say, "Is this the real thing?" Buddy, you've got chills all over your body, and your knees are shaking because you have no need to ask if it's the real thing. You know it is, because you can feel the power from it. And if it wasn't for the creators, for the protection of God or the source or whatever, you would not survive it. I mean, it's not something to play with, not at all. And yeah. Anyway, well, this sure took a turn for the sure took a swift turn, but that's fine. No problem. I think a lot of times that we're led to talk about what needs to be talked about. One thing that I will never do is stick with a strict regimen, a program. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about. We're not going to deviate from it. I think a lot of times that we can start a discussion that we're meant to deviate from, that we're meant to talk about something else entirely. And a lot of times we don't know that until we get into it. But anyway, it's all good. But we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes, so I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Randy, for taking part, and thank you and Nezreen, and thank you for those of you who listened and didn't take part. I appreciate you just as much. Thank you for the new listeners in Cyprus and Moscow and Knoxville, Tennessee, and Lebanon, Ohio. Thank you very much for listening. And thank you for new listeners on Radio Republic. Appreciate you. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at the texarcistpodcast@gmail.com. If you would, please hit that like button and follow the show here on Spreaker. Each time that I go live or upload a show, you'll be notified. If you need me or need to speak to me about anything, maybe show topics or whatever, feel free to contact me. Again, it's the texarcistpodcast@gmail.com. You're welcome, Nezreen. Thank you for taking part. I appreciate it. So, love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.